Welcome to Research Relevant Bites. Uh, my name is Stephen Shaw from McGill University and the Connections Lab, which is housed in the Department of Educational and Counseling Psychology. Today's episode will be advice for new scholars, and I talk about new scholars as my position of editor of the Canadian Journal of School Psychology. And prior to that, I've edited books and other journals, including School Psychology Forum. So what I'd like to do today is just give a very brief overview of some of the advice that I would give to new scholars who are starting out in the field. Some of this will be to help you, and some of it's to really advance the field. We need to change some of the culture of research, which I will continue to talk about in future episodes. I talked a little bit about this in the past episode on publication bias. But what we really want to do is, as a young scholar, is I would like to encourage you all to make your field better, to make a difference. I know it's hard when you get started out. You're just learning the basics of your field. But making the field better is really your goal. Make your field of study better, make it more inclusive, make it more useful, make it more relevant. One of the first goals you should have is to join the community of scholars, to be a member of that community. A lot of talk about things like plagiarism and co-authorship. A lot of it is about being part of a community, sharing, being generous, really being part of that overall idea. That's how you learn. That's how you get well known in your field, and that's how you can really make a difference. Always think about, what am I doing for my community of scholars? Think about the science, the quality of your science, and interested parties. All of your research takes place in a context. It's really helpful to know who you're talking to and what you want them to gain from it. There can be unintended effects of your work. You need to consider who are those interested parties. Also, publication is not the end goal. I hear a lot of people say, I need a publication. Well, you don't. What you need is to do good science and do better science. Good science, better science, communicating it effectively will land you a publication. You can't control whether a journal accepts or does not accept your paper. You can control whether you do high quality work. The biggest issue is to focus on answering the best and most useful possible questions. Don't collect data and then decide what you're going to do with it. That's not really science, even though I see a lot of papers being done that way. The best way is to come up with the best possible question that needs to be answered. Once you have that best possible question, then you can find the answer. Then you're doing good science. Then you get published. Focus on the work, not your career. Don't worry, I'm not publishing enough. I'm not doing enough quality work. Just do good work. Do good work, do it quickly, get it out, improve, do it again. That will lead you to a positive career in your field. But what about careers and grants? Do number of publications count for getting a job or getting grants? Yeah, they do count. But focusing solely on whether you get published is just not going to be effective. What you need to focus on, do good work. And I'm just going to hit that over and over and over again. I know that there's a lot of things where you have large data sets and they become p-hacked to death, and we just slice and dice sets into smaller and smaller bits. This is typically not good science. People who write these sort of papers will not be remembered as being part of the community or advancing their field. They may have a lot of publications, but they are of no meaning. I also get people say, if I really do careful studies, I may not get the effect size I want. If results don't come out a certain way, then I have no career. Well, then you don't deserve to have a career. That's harsh, but that's really the truth. You need to do the best possible science. Things will fall where they are. They will reflect reality, whether it's your reality or not. My other favorites are things like, this theory's my baby. I truly believe in it no matter what. No, you've got to leave that behind. Find a theory, then collect experiments. If the theory is not consistent with the experiments, then the theory has to change, or you've conducted a bad experiment. I just want it to be publishable. I've heard this before. I have no interest in that. That's not useful. You can fool an editor or reviewers. That's not what this is about. If you do good work that you're proud of, that's what this is about. I like this one of we have large data sets and people say they'll run the data until they get the right results. That's not science. That's not replicable. That's not useful. It doesn't advance theory. It doesn't increase knowledge. It doesn't improve practice. It is a waste of time and energy. That's simply something for your career and does not improve scientists and does not make you a member of the community of scientists. So there's a lot of what's referred to as questionable research practices out there. I would like to really dissuade people from using those, even though those may be shortcuts to the publications, which publication count and grants. It doesn't make you a good scientist. What I would like to encourage everyone to be is the best possible scientist. But when you do that, you do get rejection. If you're going to put your work out there and it's going to move the field, there's going to be some form of rejection. Remember, it's not really you personally, it's the work. You need to make that distance. I really dissuade people and really discourage people from saying, this paper is my baby, I put everything into it. No, no, no. It is one piece of work. It will be evaluated. It will be accepted for publication, or it will not be accepted for publication. If it needs to get better, make the work better. Sometimes your papers aren't accepted because it's the wrong outlet. It may be a journal that likes to publish p-hacked papers. It may be a journal that likes certain types of outcomes. Spend time investing and researching the right journal or the right grant mechanism that fits your work. It's better to have good, solid work answering good, important questions than to work backwards of finding a journal and then figuring out how to make it work. It also helps to have someone to share the sting with, no matter how much you might depersonalize your work and just say this work needs to be better, this work needs to be more relevant to this outlet. It still stings a little bit. It helps to have co-authors, mentors, people you work with, collaborators who can help share this with. Almost all papers get rejected. I don't know how many papers I published, probably around 95 to 100, something like that. But very few of those papers were accepted in initial submission. I think maybe 2. And the rest have been some form of reject or make major revisions before they eventually are accepted. It really helps because it can be discouraging. It helps to have somebody to share this with. And I also don't think of papers as being rejected. I think of them more as it's not quite ready yet for publication, or this isn't the right outlet, and maybe I didn't do enough research ahead of time to get the paper in the right place. So rejection is going to happen. It's part of the job. It's not always fair. It's not always fun. But all it can do is find out what part of that rejection can help make your work better. I do have top 10 tips that I give to early academics. One, I've already mentioned this several times already. Be part of communities large and small. Share everything you can. Share data, share ideas, share mechanisms that you're using for certain methods. To the greatest degree, you have co-authors and you be part of a community that share your ideas with others. This isn't a time to hoard ideas or hoard data. This does not lead to anything positive. Sharing data will help. Sharing ideas will help. That puts you in a position to have a reputation of being not only a generous person, but an important part of the community. This is the kind of thing that moves science ahead. Invest up front. Spend a lot of time researching where you're going to send a journal to make sure you're sending it to the right place. Spend a lot of time doing your literature review and making sure it's solid. A lot of time up front in doing things like registered reports and creating hypothesis in advance. Spend that time answering the right question, because once you focus on answering the right question, the answers and how to find those answers follow, but that requires an investment up front. Focus on continuous development and improvement. Always get better. Every rejection is a chance to get better. It's a chance to improve your skills, chance to gain ideas, chance to move forward. Once you get focused on this continuous improvement and continuous development, every time you might have a little bit of a setback, the interpretation is it gives you a chance and a catalyst from which to improve. Be sure you're proud of your work in 10 years. Don't do a PHAC study because you need a publication that you're going to look back on and go, this really wasn't worth very much. It was a waste of time and energy. It was a waste of paid space in a journal. Yes, you might count it as a journal and tick it off the box. That's not real science. That is careerism. That's not being a scientist. So do work that you know when you look back on, you'll be proud of. Make it worth your pride. Finally, being useful is more important than being right. We're all focused on, is it right? Will my work get disproven? Will that be embarrassing? No. Sometimes it's worth it to be creative and take risk and to go out there and try something new. Will it always work? No. How things evolve is you come up with a new idea that moves the field ahead. You test it and you test it and you test it. You find it might not be right. It needs to be better. But is it useful? Did it lead to an improvement of theory? Did it lead to new methods, new approaches, new ideas, new thinking, new way of being useful? If that's the case, even if you're wrong, putting it out there is very, very useful and more important than actually being right. The other one that everybody knows, which is everything takes 3 times longer than you think. If you think it'll take you a week to write something, it's going to take you 3 weeks. Always. Just don't even question it. The other one, this is a classic. Write fast. The fastest way you can write is the best way to write. I dictate a lot. Then I go back and revise ruthlessly and edit meticulously. Be careful. Put in the time, effort, and investment in ruthless revisions to make things as tight as possible and edit carefully. I would say be an intellectual, not a technician. Intellectuals have a wide range of ideas from which they can draw to be creative in their methodology, creative in their details, and ultimately more useful, ultimately more of a member of the community of scientists and intellectuals. Too many people are technicians. They only know how to use certain statistics or certain ideas so they can publish a lot of papers. This is fine, but it doesn't move the field ahead. Read novels, read philosophy, read from other fields of study, and this will increase the breadth and creativity of your methodology, of your way of thinking, and help free you up to be a truly useful scholar. Be scrupulously credible and transparent at all stages of work. Share everything. Be totally transparent on your issues. If you ever think, oh, I don't want somebody to know this because I don't want them to think I'm dumb, I don't want them to think I took a shortcut, or I don't want them to know I took a shortcut. Don't do that. Just be completely transparent. It will make your work credible, believable, and ultimately useful and a contributor to science. And that's really what you're looking for, how to be a contributor to the field. If we're going to have research reform to create research that is credible, that is transparent, that is useful, the reform starts with culture. And the idea that we just publish papers to publish papers has led us to a place where our research is simply not credible. It's not reproducible, and ultimately it's just not useful. So what are we even doing here? You're much better off building a reputation of being a generous, creative, ethical, productive, and insightful scholar. Once you do that, everything else takes care of itself. If a job will only give you a place if you have 50 publications instead of 30 good ones, well, they're telling you what they value, and maybe you don't want to be there. What you want to be is that creative person who is credible, insightful, and useful. That's my advice to early scholars, is to really focus on that aspect of being credible, being part of the community, and moving the field ahead, because this moving the field ahead starts with you. So thank you very much, and I look forward to our next talk of research relevance bites. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.